we have to first recognize we're going to deal with an issue, a very real issue, a practical issue, a life-threatening issue at times, but it's a little slice of life. And whatever solution we come up with, it has to fit with the rest of your life. In other words, you have to have a comprehensive, consistent view of life so that all the pieces work. But if each piece is separate and is not in harmony with the other pieces, we just create new problems in place of the old ones. So we'll deal with this one issue tonight, but you have to have a lifestyle where all the parts work together. And that's not easy. So let's first make sure that we're using our words intelligently. A word like anxiety is very vague. What exactly do we mean by anxiety? What is anxiety? You can say anxiety comes from the need to control. If I feel like I can't control the outcome or the future or the results of my efforts, I become anxious. I need to feel in control. There are people who have trust issues. In life, you have to trust. A child has to trust his parent, a teacher, the student has to trust the teacher, the soldier has to trust the general. It's a necessary, indispensable part of life that you have to be able to trust. People have a problem. They can't trust. Well, if you can't trust, then you don't have the support system that everybody needs. That could be the problem. You could also be a perfectionist. Your expectations are unrealistic. And because the expectations are unrealistic, you're going to end up with anxieties. If your expectations were realistic, you end up with ambition. When they're not realistic, you end up with frustration and anxiety. Finally, what makes it really confusing is that on the one hand, we are told to be responsible. You have responsibilities. You're supposed to accomplish, you're supposed to achieve, you must. On the other hand, we don't run the world. There are things that are out of our control. So how do these two work together? I'm supposed to succeed, but there are forces that I can't control or I can't change that are getting in the way and work against my success. So you might say people who are totally calm, like have total menuchas hanefesh, are irresponsible people. They're coasting through life. They really don't care one way or the other. So whatever happens, they're fine. Is that a good thing? But then you have the very responsible person, driven, always trying so hard to do the right thing that he's making himself crazy, he's making his family crazy, the people around him crazy. Is that a good thing? So how do we balance the fact that we're not in control and yet we're responsible? How do you live with those two things? That produces a lot of anxiety. So we have right at the beginning of the davening every morning, there is this absolutely brilliant little paragraph in which we ask Hashem to protect us from these things because there's no way that we can protect ourselves from it. Just saying it every morning, laying it out. I am starting my day fully aware. I cannot protect myself from false accusations. I cannot protect myself from lashon hara. People will speak about me. I cannot protect myself for unforeseeable tragedies or illnesses. I can't protect myself from people bearing false witness against me. I can't protect myself from people suing me frivolously. And the rest of the list there. But it is such a healthy and grounding way to start the day. We know up front there are things that I cannot protect myself against at all, ever. It's just out of my control. So I put it in God's hands. I say, today, please, I can't. I'm trusting you. Protect me from these things. And just saying it is psychologically so healthy, so realistic, that it makes it a lot easier to proceed with the unpredictable and uncontrollable future of the day. What is today going to bring? So here's where we have this conundrum. I have to start my day with ambition. I'm going to make this a great day. Today I'm going to work hard and I'm going to succeed and I'm going to be productive and I'm going to accomplish the things I set out to accomplish. And at the same time, I have no idea what today is going to bring. And I can't control it. So it seems like people have to choose one of two extremes. Either just give it up, live for the moment because you can't control it anyway. So just don't care, don't take it so seriously, and waste your life away. But at least you'll be calm, calm and useless. Or you take your responsibilities very seriously because you must accomplish and you must produce and you must have something to show for yourself. And then you're on popping pills on anti-anxiety and antidepressants, all sorts of stuff just to keep you going. So what is the derech hamitzua? What is the wisdom that enables us to walk this path without going to the extremes and without being unrealistic? So the ultimate answer is bitochen. God runs the world and you have to let him. Bitochen means, number one, you have to let God run the world because you really don't have a choice anyway. Number two, you have to know that if God runs the world will end up in a very good place because he's very good at it. He knows how to run worlds. And number three, you have to trust and have bitachon that it'll be not only good for the world, but that it'll be good for you. You have to believe this very deeply, but in order to do that, you have to understand what it is you're believing. What are you believing? That God will give you whatever you ask for? Is that what we're supposed to believe? So what exactly do we believe that gives us a sense of security, a sense of clarity, so that we can proceed responsibly without overwhelming our fuses and ending up damaged and hurt and despondent, all because we tried so hard to be good. So those are the issues. Let's understand which anxiety we're talking about. Is it a control issue? Is it a trust issue? Is it a expectation issue? Is it perfectionism? What exactly are we talking about? And they're not the same thing. So under the banner of anxiety, we have many different concerns that have different responses. And just clarifying the issue is already helpful and calming to know exactly what is it? Which anxiety am I experiencing? And as you say, some people just need medication. You know, al-pi halacha, if you cut your nails, your fingernails, your toenails, and you don't wash negelwasser, you will suffer fears that are irrational and that you can't explain. And the same after you cut your hair. If you don't wash negelwasser, you will suffer from anxiety that is free floating without any particular cause. So yeah, there's a condition called anxiety, which is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about medical conditions. We're talking about how a person should proceed in life with wisdom, with a little seichel, so that he's in charge of his feelings and not a victim of them. So all sorts of thoughts come to me that are anxious, anxiety producing, all sorts of negative possibilities and stuff that could go wrong. That sounds like a person who is convinced that they really need to be in control, and every possibility that is out of their control threatens them. So that's why you keep noticing, oh, this is out of my control, and that's out of my control. And what if this happens? And what if that happens? Okay, we got the picture. You're not in control. You don't have to keep proving it by coming up with every possibility in which you will not have control. So the question is, how much control is reasonable? How much control can you expect? And how much is beyond human? Of course, we're in God's hands, whether we like it or not, whether we are comfortable about it or not, but we are in God's hands. We can't decide to be born. We can't decide to be healthy. We can't decide to be talented. We're in God's hands. We got to make peace with that fact. So coming up with a chiddush every 10 minutes, wow, there's another thing I can't control. Okay, stop making a collection of how many things you can't control. It's true, you can't control. Neither can anybody else. But that's the nature of life. So the question is, where should your mind go? So that's the second half of the question. His friend who always seems to be comfortable. What is his friend doing right that allows him to be comfortable like that? Here's really the crux of the whole issue. The rest is really just commentary and details. The worst thing that a person can suffer from, because we are intelligent creatures, the worst thing that we can suffer from is aimlessness. I don't know where I'm going. I don't have a map. So I don't know where I'm supposed to end up. So I don't have a compass. I don't have a direction. I don't have a GPS. I don't know where I'm going. A guy is a melamed. He wakes up every morning. He doesn't know whether he's supposed to be a melamed. Well, what's that going to do to him? His entire day is one huge uncertainty. So every difficult student, every disappointment, every frustration just reminds him that maybe he shouldn't be a Melamed. That uncertainty, that aimlessness undermines everything. And then every possible insecurity, every possible anxiety is going to hit him. So the first thing is, what is your life about? What are you doing with your life? And how well are you doing it? Not whether you should be doing it. That's self-sabotage. If you have a job, do it well. Stop questioning whether this is the job you're meant to do. Don't undermine what you have. You're good at something? Then do it. Stick with it. Improve it. Perfect it. Do it better. Do it more. Do it with more devotion, with more kavanah. But always questioning, what should I be when I grow up? Well, you're all grown up. And you already are something. Yes, you can also be other things. But that's such a self-sabotaging thought. I know there's a Mishnah. I don't know if we talked about this last. The Mishnah in right in the beginning of Pesachim. The night before Pesach, you have to search the rooms of the house to make sure that there's no chametz. You take a candle and you go from room to room and you search in all the cracks and crannies to see whether there's chametz in the room. The Mishnah says, after you check a room and it's clean of chametz, you don't suspect that maybe when you turned your back after checking the room, a mouse dragged a piece of chametz into the room you've already searched. And therefore you should go back and search again. So the Mishnah says no. Ein chayshishin, we do not entertain that suspicion. Why? Because ein ledavar safe. There's no end to this. You'll check again. Now you're sure there's no chametz? Hey, you just turned your back. Go check again. And even if you can check the room in such a way that there is no chametz anywhere in the house to bring into the room, maybe the mouse brought it from the yard. And even if you check the yard and there was no chametz in the yard, maybe it came from the street. It just goes on and on. Maybe it just got off a boat from China. So there's no end. And where there is no end, you do not suspect. Which means the word maybe can make you crazy. I'm a pretty good dentist, but maybe I should be a teacher. Maybe. How are you going to resolve that question? Yeah, maybe. No, so what do you want to do? You want to quit your job? And maybe become a teacher? And then when you're a teacher, you'll be secure and satisfied, or then you'll think maybe you should become an accountant. Every maybe has to have a tachlis. If it doesn't have a tachlis, throw it out. Don't entertain it. Ein chayshishin. Not only you don't go back and check the room again, you don't suspect, you don't carry, you don't harbor the suspicion that there is chametz in that room, because ein ledavar safe. So this is the first thing. Decide what your life is about and just do it better, instead of questioning what your life should be about. What your life should be about is a good question for a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, but not a 46-year-old. So the first thing, put this at the top of your list. The first thing is aimlessness. That is the worst thing that can happen to a human being. When you know what you're doing, you may not be the best dentist in the world. That's not paranoia. That's very realistic. You may not be, but you do your best and you're making a living and you're helping people. Do it better. Don't question whether you should be doing it. And the same with your Yiddishkeit. Should I be practicing this minhag, that minhag? Should I belong to this shul, to that shul? You're a Jew and you're serving God, you're doing mitzvahs, just do it better. If you enjoyed this conversation or this topic and you're looking for more information, or you want to hear it again from another angle, there is a way to do that. And that is in this book. It's all there. Order it from Amazon. You can read it, reread it, and share it. We have a Sunday night program for VIPs that you might be interested in. It's informal, it's questions and answers, it's conversation. It's really relaxed, it's really pleasant, enjoyable, informative, and kind of community-like. It's a Sunday night program. There's a Wednesday morning program for the VIPs, and there's a Wednesday night program. All of it just conversation, casual, laid back, unscripted. So join us, take a look, click the link below and see which of the three suits you best, and join us for some enjoyable conversation.